Drum rolls, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to be back here. Nice to see you, Niall, Johann, and Michaela. Nett, Sie kennenzulernen. If Sie sprechen Deutsch. My name is Ken Sky, and I am calling in from the coldest place on Earth today, I'm pretty sure. We have minus 50 Celsius this morning. And let's just say it's a great day to be on Zoom. I don't have to go anywhere. Now this is a very small group, and so we'll have this very conversational. We'll kind of talk. You have questions. I'll tell some stories. We'll experiment with some magical presentations on Zoom.
Wonderful.
But before we do, I have to confess something. I've been doing a lot of shopping, probably way more than I should have, because it's so easy. It's like Amazon, boom, and before you know it, package is at the door. I do want to just put out a word of caution. Make sure that you get products that are authentic. I just got my new AirPods. In fact, one was missing, and it looks like they're not authentic. I mean, I'll show you. I'll hold up here so you can see it right there. Yeah, something is completely off with these AirPods. They're just not fitting. And so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to send that one back. But I think with such a small group today, if it's all right with you, just keep yourself on mute. That way we can have more of a conversation and you don't have to like try to find the unmute button when you want to say something. And I think it's totally manageable. So if that works for you, lovely. So it's so nice to see you. And does everybody speak German here today too? Kind of.
Actually, three of us Johann and Michaela are really good in German.
Really good in German? Well, probably much better than me. So,
there are a lot of languages, more languages represented than people, actually.
More languages than people. So let's see. Let's say hello to our people before we get started here. So let's start with Johann, if you don't mind. Actually, Nikki, could you make me a co-host so I can do some magic on my side here? I brought in this screen, but I need to be able to put somebody on the screen. So if I could be made a co-host, then I can bring in Johann. We're going to say hello to Johann here. All right. And if everything works well, Johann, there you are. Welcome. So, wo bist du zurzeit, Johann?
Hallo Ken, nice to see you again. Ich bin jetzt in Ägypten.
In Ägypten?
Ja, Ägypten, in Luxor.
What? Wie ist das Wetter in Ägypten?
Letzte Woche habe ich mit einem Freund über irgendwo zu fahren gesprochen und wir haben uns entschieden, ja, wir sollen nach Ägypten fliegen. Und es ist sehr schön hier, 30 Celsius, nicht minus 52.
Minus 50, ja, das ist ziemlich warmer da dann.
Und gestern haben wir die Pyramiden gesehen, okay. neben Kairo. Wow. Es war sehr schön, Wahnsinn. Wunderbar. Und heute sind wir in Luxor.
Super.
Und ja, sehr schön hier.
Ja, sehr schön, dich zu sehen, Johann. Dankeschön. Kommen wir zu Niall. Das finden wir jetzt mal gleich aus. Hallo.
Hi there, Ken. Hello, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
So did I mispronounce your name?
It's Niall. So you got it right. I think you're two ways, but yeah.
Wonderful.
Niall is the right way.
Nice to see you, Niall. And where are you coming in from?
So I'm right in the centre of London. So it's and it's cold. I'm just seeing it's snowing outside. It's about -1. So it's about halfway between Luxor and the -50 where you are, Ken. So it's
Yeah, I thought you said it was cold. -1, it's pretty much short time for us, okay, here in Winnipeg. But I get it. It's a different kind of cold.
It's all relative.
It is relative, yes. Thank you for coming in today. I appreciate that. And let's say hello to Michaela. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I'm
Die Schwester von Niki.
Schwester von Niki in Wien.
Nett, Sie kennenzulernen. And
Ja,
are you
freue mich auch.
located in Germany?
I'm located in Vienna.
In Vienna. Oh, wow.
Yes.
It's another beautiful place I haven't been to yet, but hopefully one day.
Yes, when Corona is over, because all the hotels are closed right now. So it's difficult to find a place. I think I even don't know which airplanes are allowed for a landing now in Austria. Yeah.
Are you stuck there because you went there and you're not able to come back, or did you go there for business, or is that where you live?
That's the place where I live.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And mein Freund Niki.
Hey, 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 hey.
Niki has this way of surprising people. Let me tell you. Niki, it's nice to see you again. And we briefly connected on Saturday, and I know a lot has changed since last time we talked. So it's so nice to be back here. And shall we start with some magic, Niki?
Let's do some magic.
Let's do some magic. Okay. I'm going to pick on you as the first person here. And let's do this experiment, see if this works. Do you see the pen, Niki?
I can see the pen.
Please tell us, which way is it pointing?
It's pointing from your perspective, from right hand towards Mike, to the left.
To the left, to the left. Here we go. Watch careful. There's 1, 2, and there's 3. You catch it? It happens super fast. But now we're going to make it trickier. Niki, let's step up the game. Level 2. Which way is the pen pointing from your view?
From my view, to the right.
I'm sorry?
To the left. The other right.
You're fast. I like that. You're super fast. Now, level 3 is the fastest level out there, the most trickiest one. Just one little shake. And what I actually did is I went so fast that to you, all it looks like this is what's happening. But in reality, what I do is I turn the pen around, uncap, and put it on the other side. You catch that?
Yes, of course.
Now, a lot of people and a lot of my colleagues are sort of sad that they don't get to do in-person events anymore. And yes, it's unfortunate. At the same time, I decided to look at the world with a different lens. For example, everybody has a front row seat now. You probably will never get closer to the magic than right here, right now. Watch careful. Happened again. Just like magic. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I decided to sort of try out some new experiments today that hopefully will work well in sort of a magical kind of way. And if something doesn't work, we'll chalk it up to experiments that always work. But could you, by show of hands, who sees me for the first time today? And let me just let Niki go back to up there. So it's Michaela. Okay. Everybody else has met me once before. So I'll give you just a short, quick little story, and I might not have shared all of this last time we met. And I grew up in Paraguay. And I grew up in the jungle, basically. My first few years were really humble. And I will show you a picture in a moment. But I learned a lot of lessons back as a child. I didn't have much. I didn't have, for example, Legos. As a child, I never owned Legos ever. We would make up our own games and toys. So for example, we would take cactus and peel it off and make wheels from it to sort of made some bush machines. Would take cactus berries and take the thorns. And if you take a cactus berry, you take a thorn, you put one on the bottom, another one on the bottom, and then two in the back, two in the front. You stick one up on the top here and you put another smaller berry on it. You have a cow. You can make your own toys. We took corn on the cob, kafir, and we would peel off all the corn before it was cooked and just leave a tiny bit on the top, a yellow tip basically. So now we had a person. And if you peel it really, really carefully, you could even leave the hair from the corn on the cob on the top. And so now this person had long hair. And then in the dirt, we would push the dirt together like this to build a wall. Not the political one, but just to build a little house. I would make a fiak, and that's how we build a house. And now we have cattle, we have cows, horses, we had the people, and that's how we would play. I never realized some of the important lessons I learned back then. That was this. Whenever you don't have something, whenever you can't buy something in order to do something, you can always find a way to make it happen yourself. And because of that, sometimes the most beautiful things come out of this. So having said that, let me show you some pictures and we'll start with our first experiment. And let's see. Johan, would you be so kind and help me with this?
Always.
That's Johan on the screen. We're coming. Thank you. All right, and we might actually, let's go to this camera right here. And we'll bring up Johan on the side. So you can see my screen right here, correct?
Very well. Wow.
This one here, except for that part. So right here. There's some pictures here, and I'm gonna show them to you in a moment, and we'll try an experiment. And let's also make sure that we have the mystery question too. Here we go. First picture is the picture of a little boy in the jungle, learning how to walk. That happens to be my uncle teaching me how to walk, and I'm barefoot there. The bush jungle in Paraguay. It's an actual picture of that. This one is a picture of a magic wand, and this one represents when I saw magic for the very first time. I happened to be 26 years old. I had just become a father. And my son had a blood condition, so he was sick a lot. And so we spent many, many hours, nights sometimes, at the hospital waiting for blood transfusions. And so one day, a clown came by and performed magic for him right in front of me. And that was the first time that I, as a grown-up, had seen an actual magician. And it blew my mind. Magic represents possibilities out there for me. The things that seem impossible when they become possible, that's what that moment represented for me. Next, we have an airplane. And for many people, an airplane represents going on a vacation, doing a business trip. For me, the airplane represents the very first time that I went on an airplane. I left everything behind. I packed up everything. We sold our house. We sold all of our things. We had, my wife and I, we had 2 suitcases. We had $100 and we moved to Canada. That was my very first airplane trip I ever did. So the airplane for me represents new beginnings, the unknown of what's going to happen next. This one is a picture of a radio station where I spent many, many hours as a teenager because I had to work all through high school and college so I could pay for school. I wanted to become a teacher. I told my mom I want to be a teacher when I grow up, but we couldn't afford school. So I worked. So in the evenings when my friends were hanging out, I was at the radio station running the sound technique, the Tontechniker. There's lightning. At the age of 5, I got struck by lightning. And I know what you're thinking. I did survive. So we can be relieved. It was a terrible, it was a terrifying experience. Enlightening represents all those terrifying moments in our life where we think maybe sometimes we lose somebody, or there's an accident, or there's just something happens at work, a business partner or something does something where we think that could kill our company. It's just a terrifying moment that we have to somehow overcome. Lastly, we have a guitar. And at the age of 16, I bought my first electric guitar thinking I was going to be a rock star. Well, when dreams come true, it's not always the way you thought it would look like. Part of wanting to be a rock star for me was to be on stage and share a sense of an experience with people. And somehow I ended up following my dream, and here I am, speaking and presenting to people all around the world. And before of 2020, I also traveled all around the world. So these are moments for me where I grew personally. And if I understand the goal of these virtual tours, Nikki, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. It's my understanding that it's all about growth, helping people grow. And right now, Johan, you and me are going to take an attempt at doing just that. I've shown these pictures to you. These pictures mean something to me, but maybe there's one picture that speaks most to you. Would you tell me which of these pictures speaks most to you?
The airplane.
The airplane. That is very interesting. Could you tell me why you picked the airplane?
So when you mentioned, your first flight, it also kind of, I remembered also my first flight, and that was also something quite meaningful for me. Not necessarily as a kind of new beginning, but first time I returned home after I left my home, for a long time, because at the age of 18, I left my country to do my studies in France. And it was extremely difficult that time to travel. So from my country to France, which nowadays is 2-hour flight, I had to make like 50 hours by bus because there were no flights. There were always border controls. So at each border, we had to wait like 6-7 hours, to pass the border. And after a year, there was this amazing announcement that now a company was opening flights between my country and France, and I could go home. And that was, my first flight. So it's from all these experiences, that's something which for me is meaningful, because after a long time, I could see again my family, my brother. It was quite amazing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Johan. That is truly astonishing. The experience we get to do if we take the courage to take adventures, isn't that true?
Yes, because I was extremely afraid. I was asking friends, okay, but who already traveled at that time more, like how is it to go to an airport? How is the process? I knew nothing about how it works, and so they explained to me, you do this, you have to go to the luggage and stuff like this. And actually, everything went quite nice. I was, because I was a very shy, introverted guy, so I was really afraid, to interact with people I don't know. But, I managed, and it was winter time. So, yeah, the flight was very nice. I saw all the mountains over, Austria. I still remember those first time I saw, from a plane, the world. And it was really something, how to say it, that stays in my mind ever since.
Thank you so much for sharing, Johan. That's truly awesome. So we have the airplane. It seems to me like that's the most important memory for you.
Yeah.
Which picture would be next? What would you pick next?
Ooh, well, most probably the one where you are learning to walk.
Learning to walk. For me, this represents the humble start. I never want to forget where did I come from and what is possible if you keep pushing yourself to be the best version of yourself you can be.
Yeah.
Great choice. Which picture will be next, Johan?
Next would be the lightning.
The lightning. It was one of the most frightening moments of my life. And I say one of the because I didn't see it coming. And therefore, I didn't have time to be as frightened about that as I did about a different situation I'm about to tell you as well. Which one will be next?
Let's pick your radio desk.
The radio desk represents all the entrepreneurial spirits, all the things we want to do in order to achieve something different, the work we put into our journey. Which picture is next?
The magic.
The magic, the possibilities. I love it. And which leaves us lastly with the guitar, the hobbies, the passion, the things that we think are going to propel us out into the world in a different kind of way, the art. Now, Johan, are you happy with the order, the way you picked it?
Good question.
Because
I think
when you wake up in the morning, when you wake up at night, this following night, to go to the bathroom, you might think, what would have happened if I would have chosen a different order?
Yes.
So right now, I'm going to give you one chance to change 2 of those pictures. And if you do change them, you're going to wake up at night and think, what would have happened if I didn't change them?
Yes.
I'm just saying. But it's totally up to you. You can take 2 of these pictures and change them, or you can leave them as they are. What would you like?
Let's swap this first and second.
These 2?
Yes.
So you first want the boy to walk before he flies.
Yes.
Free choice? Now I have to be honest, Johan, I was trying to influence you in a certain way by the way I tell the stories. And sometimes it's a small little detail. And it might have been that you realize that the past, where I come from, is really, really important to me. And maybe that's why you switched these. You will still wonder what would have happened if you didn't switch. But that's something that you'll have to just leave up to the mystery. Now, Johan, would you be amazed if I had in this envelope a piece of paper that said exactly the order that you would choose? Would that be amazing, Johan?
Yes, I honestly would not. I mean, I know you can do magic, but this is, this would be something
That would be a little freaky, right?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you. I'll just move it a little bit further here. I see my circle is over there. Let me tell you, I didn't do that, so you can be relaxed. I did, however, have a feeling about what you would choose. And so I put letters on the back of each picture. And this could have only worked by choosing this exact order at this moment and time. See what I mean, Johan? That leaves one question open, though. What is in the envelope? Let's take a look. Before the show started, I wrote a little something. It said, Johan, welcome home at 18, and that's a picture of a little airplane.
What is this?
Thank you so much for helping. You are amazing.
Thanks so much.
It's great.
I'm so glad that worked. And I feel that we really have a mindset of doing amazing things in the world. Speaking of amazing things, there's something I learned last year. A lesson I should have learned a long time ago. And I did learn this lesson over and over and over. I just never realized what was happening to me. ein Löffel, ein Briefumschlag, spoon, and an envelope. Let's put the spoon inside the envelope, like this. And let's say we take a razor sharp Buttermesser, and I could now attempt to put the knife right through the envelope. And if somebody asked me to do this, I could say that's impossible. But then again, my job is a magician. I literally have to do the impossible all the time. That's what people expect of me. And I think right here, right now, for Nikki and team, let's do this. Just like that. This reminds me of a quote that Charles Darwin said a long time ago. It's not the strongest of the species that survive. It's not the most intelligent. It's the ones most adaptable to change. Sometimes we just need to be reminded to be a tiny bit more flexible and adapt and change, because then amazing things are possible.
That's right.
Thank you so very much. It is not all about me today here, and I'd love to now do an experiment that might be quite unusual from what you've seen before. But if you humor me, I think this would be amazing, and this is a tool that I am happy to share with you. I recently learned this from a program called Exchange, which is all about connecting in meaningful ways. Here's what I learned. The more people are involved in a show, the more engaged everybody is. If you take a pen or a marker, and if you write notes down, your hands are busy. You can't click on Facebook or something or Amazon to buy an AirPod. But I want to take it a step further. I'm going to give you each a few seconds only, and I don't want you just to look around and something that you can, like if you have to stand up, that's fine. Just grab something, and you're going to grab an artifact that represents the change that you want to see in this world. And I'm only going to give you a few seconds, so it can be anything. It could be a Sharpie, it could be scissors, anything. Grab an artifact that is interesting looking, that represents the change that you want to see in the world. I got one. Hold it up to the camera so I can see if you got one. Okay, I see Niall has one, Nikki has one. Michaela is still looking. Perfect. Now, I'm gonna go first so that you understand sort of what's happening. I picked this. This is the artifact. Now this is a mask made in Paraguay. It's made from a tree called the bottle tree. And this bottle tree is just a humongous trunk. And it's literally shaped like a bottle. And that's why they call it the bottle tree. The bottle tree has many, many uses. Back in 19-something, there was a war going on in Paraguay, and Argentina and Bolivia and Uruguay attacked Paraguay. So what the Paraguayan soldiers did is they hollowed out the bottle tree. They would sit inside this bottle tree with a small little hole so they could put their rifles through the hole. And when the enemy came invading Paraguay, they couldn't see the soldiers. There was just trees there, and then the bullets came flying out of the trees. That was one way that they defended themselves. But you can also make a troke, some viehfuttern, to feed the animals. You hollowed it out, and then you could put food inside, and now the animals can eat from it. It's adaptable, you could say. And people also make boats from these. They would cut out a boat, and now you can float a boat. But the change I want to see in the world is, I picked this mask because I'd like to see people take off their masks, show their real, authentic you, and connect with people and have the courage to be a little vulnerable so that we form actual, real connections and not just the superficials. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. See you later. Bye. That's the change I want to see. And now, let's call up Neil. Tell us about your artifact.
So it's it's a sort of stress ball, but it's of the world. So it's effectively the globe. And yeah, I mean, it's around connections. What I'd like to see really is everybody coming together to focus on the sustainability goals and make sure we have a future and a planet to live in 100, 200, 500,000 years time, through the connection and the common good.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Nikki, let's bring up Nikki. Hello, hello.
I'm muted. Okay, so here is the Moleskine, and the Moleskine comes empty. And I picked that one because I think that everyone should write their own stories and not rewrite other people's stories. And that's what the Moleskine, the empty page, stands for. So it's a very short idea, but I think an important one.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Michaela, what's your artifact?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I have this very antique magnifying glass.
Love it.
And because I like to look closer at the things and at the people which surround me. That's why I probably became journalist, and that's why there are every 3 to 7 years big changes in my life, because I
Thank you so much
always find something new which excites me so much that yes, something new can begin.
And is that magnifying glass right on your table there all the time?
Yes, it's just beside the tastatur.
Okay.
I'm writing a lot. I'm sitting nearly the whole day in front of the computer, and I have it always on my right side.
Now, is this something you thought of previously, or is this something that you came up with just on the spot now?
It's something I got, I don't know, from I think from my grandmother. I'm not sure, but it's so old. It must be something from my grandparents. And I have it here since years. I even can't remember when I put it on my side.
Okay.
It's always
there. And the
there.
idea of taking a closer look, is that something that you've always looked at it that way, or is it something that you came up with just now?
When you were asking now, I mean, I have so many things here standing around because I'm sitting on my desk, and I suddenly thought this perhaps suits
that's perfect.
Yes, suits the best to
that's
my
great.
life.
Would it be safe to say that every time you look at it now, it's going to mean something different than it did up until today?
Yes,
like every
I think.
Time
yeah,
when you
it's
look at
perhaps
the
not different, but deeper.
Look deeper, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. And that leaves us with Johan. You're still with us, Johan. What's your artifact?
So, Ken, you will not believe it, but interestingly, I picked also a mask. Now, the reason is a bit different. The reason is I'm in a hotel in Luxor, and I don't really have my personal belongings here, you know, my objects that are like my normal kind of environment. So I had to quickly improvise, and I just found this mask, you know, I'm using here. In a few seconds, you know, this, I noticed, you know, that, so, you know, I really walked a lot the past 2 days in Egypt, and I saw some extremely deep poverty. And there were two things. You know, I realized on one side how grateful I should be for the life I have. On the other side, and this is maybe what I would like to do with this mask as a kind of symbol, the world after COVID should be one where we really, you know, reach out to these people and try to remove this huge gap between, poor countries, rich countries. So I was all day, you know, walking in these places in Luxor. And I was thinking, you know, how can I do more? How can I help more? Through Rotary or through some other organizations I'm part of. So that's a bit, you know, my thinking process with this mask.
Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. And the whole idea is that we don't have a lot of time to think about these things. And like, everything I shared about the mask, I reshared it just the way it happened for me in the first time I did this. When I looked around, I saw the mask, and just within seconds, everything came to my mind. And for me, that was a huge lesson that I learned is you can come up with amazing ideas if you look at an object the right way, if you look at the world, and if you're curious. Always be curious. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Now, let's do some more magic, shall we? And thank you so much, everyone, for participating. It was absolutely amazing. And I'm just gonna get rid of my letters here so we can switch back over here. And so in 2020, I had the privilege to go to Las Vegas and work at a trade show floor. And it was, for me, a huge break. It was like that moment that I had been waiting for. Back when I was 16, I played the guitar thinking I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to be a rock star. Well, when my dream came true, it wasn't quite the way I pictured it. I was standing at a messe, at a trade show, and I was doing magic for people. But I learned something else. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, especially your hard-earned money. So I have a little bit left. I do have we got 2, 3, 4, and 5 American dollars left. It's not a whole lot because some way, mysteriously, everything else stayed in Vegas. But I am a magician, a Zauberkünstler. And if I were to ask Neil, should we change these into 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s? What would you like?
I won't be too greedy. 50s would be good.
You wouldn't be greedy.
I won't go to 100. I'll stay at 50s.
It's not about greed. It's about the wealth we want to create for the world.
Oh, right. Sorry. So, well, maximum. What's the maximum amount of dollars?
Well, this would be a maximum.
Oh, wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 500. That would be the maximum that I can do right now. And thanks for playing along. I appreciate that.
That's good.
I think we should. I'm going to just take a quick pause here and see if there's any questions so far. Feel free to stop me, interrupt me, Nikki, chime in. Otherwise, we can keep going up until the full hour. It's up to you.
It's just beautiful watching you deceiving us.
Deceiving. I'm hoping to inspire, not deceive.
Inspiring us. Did I say deceive? Inspiring us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, just to, what's really impressive is the way you engage people. I think you did this last time, and I probably said it last time, but you know, it's once again a masterful display of engagement, which, you know, I can sort of take the idea away. It's fantastic.
Thank you so very much. That just showed me that you're the right person for this next experiment. So let's bring my screen back, and there we are. I am fascinated with mysteries. Fascinated by the fact that a good mystery doesn't always include an element of magic. But all good magic includes an element of mystery. Would you agree with that, Neil?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
And one of the biggest mysteries of all time, and you'll see the pun in a second there that wasn't even intended, is time itself. When does it start? When does it end? What is time? What's really real? I know that for myself, it started in the jungle in South America, that day that I was born. That's when my time started running. And sometimes I just stop for a moment to think, how much is left? What can I do while the time just keeps going? And based on the comment that you just said, Neil, I think you're the only person that this will work, this experiment will work right here, right now. And I'm so glad you volunteered for that. I have 3 envelopes. Present and future and past. I put a message in one of these envelopes. All you have to do is pick the right envelope. It could be in the past. It could be in the future. Or it could be in the present. Only you can make that choice.
Okay, so I choose now.
I'm going to count down from 5 to 1 or to 0. And that's when I would like you to make that choice. And just trust your gut. You got this. Hold on, we'll put some music as well to that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Future.
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 Unbelievable. You chose future.
Future.
That's great that you chose future, because if you would have, just put it here so it stays in view. If you would have chosen past, you would have seen there's nothing in there.
Right.
If you would have chosen the present, you would have seen that it's empty as well. Now, it's very interesting that you chose future, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're the type of person who sometimes thinks about the future just a tiny bit more than you maybe should. Maybe you worry just a tiny bit more about the future than you'd want to admit. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And whether you make the right
yeah,
choice
sometimes.
today so that your future will be the best future that you can possibly have. There's a message I put in here for you, because I think you need to hear this today. And that message says this. I'll read this for you and I'll show it to you as well. It says, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. By C.S. Lewis. It's good thinking about the future, but don't forget to live in the present. You got this.
That's great. That's really good. Very
And
impressive.
thank you so very much for helping out as well. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Do I talk funny? I mean, I don't hear it.
No,
You don't hear it because we all have different accents. And there's a big portion of a European accent in me. But most people in North America, they can't quite figure it out. They're like, he talks funny, he has an accent, but I don't know what it is. And so I thought I'd reveal that for you right here, right now. Mystery. We talked about mysteries. And I'm going to tell you just in a summary of where I'm from. I was born and raised in South America. My grandfather came from Germany. And I'm half Swedish on my mother's side. I'm half Russian from my father's best friend's side of the family. And my actual name is Kenneth Sawatzki, which is Polish. Even I can't spell it. That's why I go by Ken Sky. And I now live in Winnipeg in Canada, North America. And I think that explains everything. Any questions? That's pretty self-explanatory, actually, I think. Yeah, you're right. Almost forgot. I'm also 2% Japanese.
Love it.
And that may mostly be or be not true, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Now, I want to tell you how I got started in Canada. It was in 2003. when I moved to Canada, I did not speak English. And I didn't know if I was going to stay, but I had a Canadian citizenship, and the deal was that I had to come live here for a year before I turned 28. And so one of the things that I did to learn English was watch television. I watched Friends, I watched Seinfeld. But more than that, I became a story writer. And I wrote it in German. I put it in Google Translate, and it must have sounded horrible, but I had my friend look it over, and then I submitted it to my instructor. It was a correspondence course over the internet. And so I finished my course. And I've written stories since then. I got published in Germany through the NDR. I won a story writing contest in Plattdeutsch. And so I flew out to Germany in 2007 to Hamburg. And they did a little documentary on me. It might still be somewhere out there on the internet. It was about 2 minutes, and it showed how I was the person that flew the furthest to get to Germany, and I wrote the story. The story was called The Last Dream. I'll leave it at that for now. But sometimes when we try to write our stories, we get what people call writer's block, and we're just stuck. And this doesn't have to be an actual story. This could be something like a business decision or that proposal. We want to make sure that this proposal is the most amazing proposal so we can land that huge client, but somehow we have writer's block. But fear no further. I have a solution for this right here, right now. And it's a little game called Right Now. It's got a bunch of cards inside. And this is a great exercise when you have writer's block. I'll just take this all out. There's also a piece of paper here from a book that has not yet been written. Place it right there and cover it up so you know it's there. And so if you ever get stuck, we can use cards like this. We have a whole bunch of cards that are different person cards. Let's put them down here for a moment. We have a whole bunch of cards that are place cards. And then we have cards that are cards about things. Donut, phone, bicycle. So there's a whole bunch of them. I'm just going to shuffle them up. And I think Michaela would be a perfect helper for this. Would you mind helping me with this, Michaela?
Yes.
So I'm going to take one thing at a time, like this, and you just tell me when to stop. So we'll create a random story idea.
Stop now.
Okay, we'll place it right on there. There's our thing. Wonderful. Next, we have to choose one of these many places. Again, I'll just go like this. You tell me when to stop.
Stop now.
Wonderful, great job. And lastly, we need a person from all of these person cards. I'll shuffle them up a little bit more in case you remembered something there. So it has to be completely random.
Stop now.
This one here or that
Yes,
one?
this one.
This one, okay. Thank you. So, free choice, Michaela. You've now picked a person, a thing, and a place. And also remember, we do have that mystery paper right there, okay? Now on the back here, we have our format. It says, the courageous person journeyed to the dangerous place in search of that mythical thing. So now all we have to do is insert what you chose. The courageous ringmaster.
Ringmaster. Ooh, hospital.
And a taco. That is interesting. You could have chosen anything, and that's what you chose, correct? So if we take these cards, I'd like you to do a, I'll just put them down. Just wave your hand over like this. And now you've changed them to a scuba diver, a bakery, and a banana. And if you take a look at this paper right here, can you read that for us out loud?
Surprise, the story of a brave scuba diver who feared no bakery while she carried her magical banana.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. You are fantastic. And now I think you have also your first topic for your first book, and I'd love to see that on there. Tell me when it's on Amazon so we can make it your bestseller. I'm going to take a brief moment to see if there's any questions before we conclude our conversation today.
No,
No?
not from my.
So far, so good? All right. I'd like to leave you with a present. And that is this. This is something I learned from one of my mentors who said, people in the world are lonely. And there's something we can do to make sure that everybody doesn't feel lonely anymore, or as many people as possible. And all we have to do is make that connection, take off our mask. And there's one question we can ask people, that is this: what made you smile today? And in a moment, we're going to write that in the chat. I think we have time for one more piece before we do our finale, so that will end right at 11. Since there's no questions and we have a small group here, I think if that's all right with Nikki, then we'll conclude it right at 11. And so we'll do one more experiment just before. But I want you to think about this: what made you smile today? And write those things in the chat. But before we go there, we're going to have Nikki come help out with one more experiment.
Here.
There he is. Hello and welcome. Now, Nikki, we've done some interesting experiments. Let's do one more. Could you think of a number between 1 and 100?
Yes.
You got one number in mind?
Mm-hmm.
And please tell me, what number are you thinking of?
87.
87. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's the exact number I was thinking of too.
I know.
You know? I'm going to try to prove this in a second, but my great-great-great-grandfather, the 2% Japanese, who taught me some origami skills, and I'd like to demonstrate that with this piece of paper here. And some scissors. Do it just right. 87. That was 87?
87.
Okay, for a moment I thought 86, but so I'll just fix that there. I know it doesn't look like much yet, but bear with me. 87. I think that's probably roughly where it's at. 87. Now I'm gonna grab my phone and show you, because I just have to double check my instructions. And let's see if we can do it like this so that, you know what? I'll just put it in my mouth so it doesn't go anywhere, okay? Let's see. There it is. Notes. And I have celebrities. They're all different celebrities. You can see them there. Are they in focus enough?
Sort of.
You see them there?
Yeah.
Okay. So you said 87. Let's go down to 87. You see 87?
Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley. Well, that does not make a whole lot of sense. Oh, yes, because he loved number 87. That was it.
Okay.
A little bit anticlimactic. I didn't cut out 87 here. That would have been really cool. But I did cut out a picture of the king.
That's pretty cool.
That's great.
Wow.
Thank you. And thanks for helping, Nikki.
Amazing.
So that leaves us with the last little bit. What made you smile today? And let's take off that screen. And let's bring this music in here. All right. You made me Thank you, Nikki. That's very kind. And you, Ken. Aw. You guys are too kind. I'll tell you a true story quickly, and that is, if you ask people, and I do this for random people these days, at the bank, at the superstore, wherever I go, I'll just say, what made you smile today? And even though people are wearing a mask, you can tell the moment you ask them, their eyes squint, they're smiling. And more times than not, that's exactly what people will say. You made me smile, just by asking that question. And I've thought about this for a long time. Why is this question so powerful? And I think this is the answer. When we smile, or when we think of those things that make us smile, our brain is furiously searching for all the positives that have happened to us. Just like the lens, when I put my hand here, we focus on something and everything else gets blurry. And we focus on all the positives, all the negatives kind of blur away. The white beast beside me. Which is the white beast beside you? Is that your dog?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Pets, dogs can be friends like no one else. So you have all these different pieces that make us smile. And if you take them all together, you turn into a little bundle of joy, you'd say. Sometimes something falls down. It's all good. We'll take all these moments, because life is all about moments. Just keeps running and running and running. So it's our job to hang on to every moment as long as possible. Hold them tight so that they stick to us. Squeeze it tight enough, it should stick on like that. Remember that the past shapes us, but it doesn't define us. The future isn't here yet. The only time ever existing for us is right here, right now. So let's make the most of it.
Beautiful.
That is my time. Thank you
you
so very much for inviting me back, Nikki. It is an absolute pleasure to be part of this. And back to you, Nikki.
So wonderful. Thank you so much, Ken. You lit up the faces. That was a beautiful hour together, just like last time. It's really, really nice that you're taking this time, inspiring us and being so engaged and committed, even for a smaller room like this time. I just want to say thank you. You're one in a million. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Ken.
Nikki.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really great.